Hello, welcome back. Last time we talked about Paul Williams and a little bit of 1970s music. We got there via Phantom of the Paradise, via Faust, and we got to Faust via The Master and Margarita, the very great book by Mikhail Bulgakov, which I cannot recommend highly enough. And we got to The Master and Margarita via Stephen King's The Stand. Now, the reason I read The Stand is because I recently started reading the Dark Tower series, which is in itself 8 books, but then come to find out that in order to really get the most out of the Dark Tower, there are some other Stephen King books that you should read in and amongst the Dark Tower proper books, The Stand being one of them. This one, The Talisman, being another one. I'm about a third of the way, I'd say, through The Talisman right now. I'm not enjoying it as much as The Stand, but it's still pretty good. So basically, an adventure fantasy story. I saw online one complaint about this book with which I heartily agree. There seems to be a real thread of homophobia running through this one. It doesn't really, I don't see any reason for it really to be there. It's not like it's integral to the plot or anything, but it's definitely there. It's come up several times already in the book. I'm not sure, maybe it's just, this was written in 1984. So people were just starting to become aware of AIDS at that point. So maybe homophobia was as a result of that. I don't know. But in any case, it's there in this one. I didn't really notice it in The Stand or other Stephen King books I've read. So if you do plan on reading The Talisman, just be aware it's there. So anyway, Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. Here's the first book. I am a newbie. I have to admit, I am a newbie when it comes to Stephen King. And like I said, I only started this series within the last couple of months. There's another vlogger out there, it's Daniel Greene, who's done a lot of videos on Stephen King. His stuff is very good. So if you're really into Stephen King, I recommend Daniel Greene. And I agree with him when he says that this, The Gunslinger, sets a good tone for the Dark Tower series. And with this opening line, the man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed. That is a great opening line. Maybe it doesn't sound as profound as it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, but it immediately plunges you into the action, sets the tone for the book, introduces the good guy and the bad guy and the place and what's happening, all in one fairly short, uncomplicated sentence. So there's one of my reading projects is reading The Dark Tower and some of the attendant books to The Dark Tower. The other project I've been working on is reading Dickens. I would like to read all of Dickens' novels in order of publication. And right now I am through the first 4. I've read a few of his other books in the past also out of order, but I'm going to try to get them all done in order, and if that means rereading a few, that's fine. I just recently finished Old Curiosity Shop, and it was my second time through this one. I liked it more than I did the first time. The first time, this is one of the books of Dickens books, novel by Charles Dickens, I'll say it that way. This is one of those books that grew on me. It didn't make a big impression the first time. It was kind of like, it's all right. And when I say it's all right, it's still very, very good. Dickens at his absolute worst is still better than almost anybody else. He's very good. I love Dickens. Old Curiosity Shop, I liked it more the second time around. Nicholas Nickleby, on the other hand, which was his third book, I liked a little bit less than the first time around. I'm about to dive into his 5th book, which is Barnaby Rudge. I have read this one before. It was one that I didn't especially like the first time through. Again, it's nothing against Dickens. It's a really, really good book. It just didn't do it for me for whatever reason. But I'm going to give it another go. Barnaby Rudge, that's number 5. I just got this one the other day. And Martin Chuzzlewit, number 7. I think I started this one and didn't quite get all the way through, so I'm going to have another go with Martin Chuzzlewit. One I have not read, a nice big thick one here, Dombey and Son. The bookseller that I buy a lot of my books from is Beaverdale Books, and the guy I usually deal with there, Hunter is his name. Great guy, helps me out with a lot of books. When I put in my order for these three, he goes, "You're really going for the deep cuts for Dickens this time around," and I like that description of some of these as Dickens deep cuts. And I guess you could say that's true. There's his early Dickens, which I would say is maybe those first four: Pickwick Papers, Nicholas Nickleby, Oliver Twist, and Old Curiosity Shop. Then there's sort of the deep cuts period, and that's where you get Barnaby Rudge and Martin Chuzzlewit and Dombey and Son. But then you're into really the classic Dickens period, which you get into David Copperfield, Hard Times, Little Dorrit, Bleak House, Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, and finally Our Mutual Friend. So just one classic after another there. So he really hit his stride, I think, with David Copperfield. But I'm going to give these three another go. 7, 8, and no, 5, 6, and 7 in order here. Charles Dickens. So that's my next reading project. After I finish the Talisman, I'll probably get back to another Dickens book. There are several other books laying around. I've always got more books waiting for me to be read than I will ever probably get to. But so be it. There we have the reading update and a little bit on Dickens and a little bit on King, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.